Welcome to the Combat Realm. I'm the G-Man Ron Gerard, and I welcome you to the Porter High Performance Center here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're going to go inside, speak with two-time champion Shawn Porter, who has a fight coming up against Keith Thurman, and also his father and head trainer, and that's Ken Porter. This is a very innovative training center, and I think you're going to enjoy seeing a lot of it and hearing stories and some insight from both the champ and his dad. So settle in and enjoy yourself, because I'm going inside the High Performance Center, and you're coming with me. Come on, don't be bashful. Let's go. I'll hold the door for you. Come on in now. Let's go. Don't be shy now. As promised, here with Shawn Porter, two-time champion, and big fight coming up for him, and we're really lucky we get an opportunity to speak with him today. And Shawn, I want to ask you about your upcoming fight. It seems like we've been talking about this fight for 7 years or something, but it's finally going to happen for you against Keith Thurman.
Yeah, it's finally going to happen. It, for a second, looked like it was turning into a Mayweather Pacquiao debacle, but it's come to June 25th. Him and I will be getting it on. We're still waiting to find out what venue we'll be boxing at, but I'm excited. Been training for a very long time for this fight, and been really focused on Keith for a long time. So I think it's right that June 25th happen, and I'll be ready for it.
Well, you're always ready for your fights. That's one thing. Your dad and you guys are like a well-oiled machine here. You've got everything rolling, and you're here in this high performance center, which really gives you, I would think, a distinct advantage over a lot of fighters.
It does. I think number one, having the team that I have, my dad in my corner, is the number one advantage that I have. He's built this performance center for me. We have the high altitude training generator behind you, and we train that a few times a week. As you can see, the rest of the equipment around the room. This is a blessing, you know, and like you said before, I'm always ready. We have an attitude of can't stop, won't stop, you know. So even on the track today, it was a thing where I had to push mentally, but I had to remind myself that I can't stop, and that's why the guys don't want to fight me, because I don't stop.
Well, that's true. And you mentioned this high altitude thing. I wanted to do the interview in there just to see if I got lightheaded.
Right. You know what I mean? Everyone that walks in there, and it's just a testament to how in shape I am. Everyone that walks in there, they aren't in there too long before they start to feel it. And I actually have to get in there and move in order to feel it. So it's a blessing to have that. It's great for our program, and it definitely does get me where I need to be.
The fight being postponed as it was, just wanted to ask you about what that does to you as an athlete, because you get yourself in a peak condition and ready to go, and then they pull back on the throttle. It's got to be difficult.
You know what? My dad has done a good job of instilling a look forward mentality instead of a look backward mentality. And what I mean by that is when something happens, I've been taught to just go with the flow, roll with the punches, and do what you have to do, you know. So obviously in the moment there was a letdown. In the moment there was some energy inside of me just wanting to come out, but we took a few weeks off. We continued to train and, you know, just kind of flow in and out of it. That way I don't get, you know, run down with training, but I'm still able to stay focused on the job that has to be done. So we've done a great job of staying focused, of continuing to work. And like I said before, my body and my mind will be ready June 25th.
Well, with Keith Thurman, this guy, you guys are the premier fighters at this weight now. It seems that we've had people retire. Mayweather, Pacquiao retired. Who knows how long that'll last, but you can't worry about that. But with Keith, everyone said, well, the power. And just from my standpoint, I'm being straight with you, he really hasn't knocked that many people out lately. I mean, it's not like he's a machine with the. I don't know. Is that your main concern? Is the power?
You know what? I'll say this. I have seen his power for a very long time. I know that he does carry some natural punching abilities, which is cool. But I've also seen that there comes a point where you just have to step up your competition. Where is that power when you step up your competition? As of late, that power hasn't been there the same. So we don't have any concerns. Our main concern is getting Shawn Porter ready, and that's just being straightforward with you. I don't concern myself with his power or anything that to a point that it's going to worry me. I just understand it. I'm aware of everything that he has, and I'm going to handle it accordingly in the ring.
Yeah, you two have know each other fairly well. I mean, as fighters, you've seen each other, you've been around, so that it doesn't appear that it's going to be a mystery to you or to Keith when you get in there. You both know.
I gotta correct you on that. I have to make this a mystery fight for him. I have to keep him off balance. I have to keep him guessing and keep him second guessing himself. But I think that's a part of the game. Is you want to, and it's something that I pride myself on: controlling the ring, controlling my opponent, controlling my opponents, and essentially getting the job done. So that calls for you to confuse your opponent and get them out of whack and not let them get into a groove. So that is a part of my game plan.
Well, I'm sure you're going to be doing that, and he's going to be ready for you. That's what makes this really, I think, at this weight, this is the fight. I mean, This is big. They can hype a lot of other fights, but this is one that maybe doesn't quite have the hype of some of the other ones. But I think it's going to end up being probably, as I said, in the last couple of years, the premier fight.
I am definitely looking forward to this fight. I have been for a long time. I could see the way our careers were moving when I moved down to 47 that it was only going to be a matter of time. This was a collision course. I had a small hiccup, and I do have a loss, but I don't think that loss reflects who I am as a fighter and who I'm going to be on June 25th. So, and I expect the same from him. I've known him for a long time, so I've seen his fight. I've seen his nonstop, no quit type of attitude. I've seen him get off of the canvas and continue to fight guys. So I do expect this to be somewhat of a war, but a war that I'm going to control. That's my game plan. Number one is to control him and control this fight.
You mentioned the one hiccup that you had, and it happens to everybody, almost everybody. And I know you're a positive person. Your dad's very positive with you. So how did you spin that, make that positive? You're probably a better fighter because of that.
I am. And for a long time, we talked about, climbing the ladder and taking steps up and, making strides and this and that and this and that and learning along the way. I've had a lot of people say, Shawn, you seem to just look impressive and better. Each fight you improve. That's something we pride ourselves on. So when we took that loss, there was there's no way I can't learn from this. I've learned from every win. I have to learn from this. And so we took a look at it together, separately, and we've just continued to stay humble, stay to ourselves, and continue to work on our crafts and be the best that we can be.
How do you look at the division? You win this fight now with Keith. Where do you go from there?
I'm sorry, I have to smile at that, man. I feel like I win this fight, I'm back on top. I'm back where I was 2 years ago, and I feel like I haven't missed a beat, up until this point. But there comes a point where you just have to prove, and obviously since losing the IBF title, I have proved some things to people, show people that thought that he lost, is he going to quit? I've showed people that I'm not a quitter, that I'm going to continue to improve and, stay focused, all this and that. But I think this is that number one fight where, you look at two of the guys that are the youngest and at the top of their division, and we separate ourselves with this fight. I think winning just puts me on top.
What's the motivation for you to be a champion, to be and to be a perfectionist as you are? What motivates you?
Key word there is perfectionist, and that has my dad's name written all over it. That's what he demands, and I don't always like it, but I always have to respect it. So that's a word that we use in this performance center. on the track, every workout, we try to focus on being perfect. No one is perfect, but as long as you're reaching for that, you come very, very close. So that's all we do is we try to work on it.
Well, lastly, everybody always talks about having a father be the trainer in the corner, and it's worked, but more times than not, it doesn't work. In your case, it's been very successful, but I'm sure there's always doubters. They'll say, well, something will happen or this or that, but it seems to be a great relationship.
Nothing has happened yet. I'm 28, 28 fights in, what at this point, what's gonna happen? Only thing we're gonna do is continue to be who we are and try to be the best that we can be in this sport until we're done with it. Simple as that.
Well, I want to thank you for your time, and I hope that everything works out for you. You know that I'm leaning towards you because I like anybody from Ohio, so we have to be pulling for the Buckeyes.
That's it, man. We gotta pull for the Buckeyes. All of our home teams. I think sports back home is a very important part of our lives. I don't know if other cities just have something else going for themselves or whatever, but back home, this is it, man. It's not just boxing or it's not just football. It's every single sport. When we catch wind or eye of someone coming from our whole town, we get behind them, So I am very much looking forward to the support I'm going to get from back home for this fight and my career. So thank you for the interview.
Well, I thank you too. Stay strong and keep your eye on the prize.
Thank you. Always great talking to you, G-Man.
All right, you got it from the champ himself, and we'll see what'll happen. I know what's going to happen already, but I don't want to jinx anything, but work hard and good things are going to happen. All right, good interview with Shawn Porter. He gave us some great inside information. Want to wish him once again all the best in his fight against Keith Thurman. In the meantime, we're going to have his father and trainer, Ken Porter, and he'll come up in the next segment. So don't go anywhere. Don't make me look for you. Okay, we're in our segment that we promised you with the father and trainer for Shawn Porter. That's Ken Porter, and we're going to talk with him and get some more insight. There's the bell. I don't want to miss this, so stay in there with us. And remember, there will be a short quiz when we're finished, so take notes.
Stay here, okay?
Back here at the Porter High Performance Center with the other half of Team Porter, and that's Ken Porter, the father and trainer, successfully up to this point, and I don't see anything getting in your way. Everything's been working pretty good for you, Ken.
Yeah, if it's not fixed, don't break it.
Right. Well, we've heard that, and it's true. But you're the brains behind this performance center here. What brought that into your consciousness? I mean, really going high tech like you have.
It's just visions that I have of the things that I want to do and how I want to accomplish them, and this is just a manifestation of that. And so, bringing it to life and seeing Shawn continue with the things he's doing to help him be successful. So it's just another way of elevating what we're already doing.
What were you reading something, or what got you, what that planted the seed for this?
You know what? There's just a lot of idiosyncrasies that go through my mind, and taking different training aspects from different things that I've done throughout my life and places I've gone. And one thing that I've always really thought was great for conditioning was high altitude training. So Shawn and I first started going to Colorado Springs when he's like 15, 16 years old. And training there and boxing in that high altitude is a very, very hard thing to do. So that's probably where we first that's definitely where we got our first exposure to the altitude training. But then actually being able to bring it here to Las Vegas. This is definitely something different. So this is what we got going on in here. One of the things that we have going on, along with the computers and the videos and the interactive screens that we have, just doing things at a high level.
Have you had other trainers come up to you and you got their imagination going? Have they asked you about this or wanted to implement this themselves?
No, because most trainers are kind of stuck in their own little world, in their own little box, and they've gotten their information from older trainers. And this mentality is passed on. So I broke that chain a long time ago with everything I do. I learned from some older trainers, but I actually did a lot of school, a lot of classes at Northern Michigan University, at Lake Placid, New York, at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, and obtaining that knowledge from those people, and also traveling around the world to different countries over in Europe and Morocco, and seeing how other trainers train in other facilities, what they look like. I've actually been to the Klitschko's gym in the Ukraine, of course, spent a lot of time at Freddie Roach's place in California. So I've taken all of my travels and all of my experience and try to make the best that I can make for myself right here at home.
Who was the trainer, or maybe it was a coach, that had the most influence on you?
There's been a lot of trainers that had a lot of influence on me. The first would have been Clint Martin, and he was my first original boxing coach, amateur boxing coach. And back home where I'm from in Ohio, he's known as the godfather of boxing. He's in the Boxing Hall of Fame at home. And he, so many years later after training me, and so many years later when my sons were starting to box at 8, 9 years old, I brought them to him. And he told me, no, you're doing a great job. You go ahead and take them. And then so many years later, when my son was getting ready to try to make the Olympic team, he had already qualified. Clint had a boxer who couldn't get qualified anywhere. And I got a call in the middle of the night, and they said, hey, can you take him? Can you get him qualified? And it was down to the last place, the last qualifier. And I said, well, if he goes to that last qualifier and he's able to win there, he'll get an invitation. And so he went to the last qualifier. It happened to be in Utah. And he won it. His mom calls me in the middle of the night, like 12 o'clock in the morning, and says, hey, he won. What do you want me to do? I said, put him on a plane. She sent him right to me. He came right to me like 2:30 in the morning. I picked him up at the airport. We hit the ground running the next morning. He's out running with us. And he wins the U.S. championships. And then he goes on to the Olympic trials. We fly in my old coach. He comes in. And I said, okay, you worked the corner. He said, no, you've been doing a great job. Keep doing it. So now he kind of passed that torch on to me. Instead of me carrying the bucket and walking with him with his fighter, he's now saying, take the fighter, and he would carry the bucket for me. That kid went on to become the outstanding boxer of the Olympic trials, and also made the Olympic team and went to Beijing. So that trainer right there would have had the most influence on me over the course of from the beginning, and then over the course of the years, how we went full circle.
Something, yeah. And now, is that, you're going to be inducted into, is it the Ohio Hall of Fame? You're already in.
I went in last October, into the Boxing Hall of Fame actually in Akron, Ohio, the Summit County Boxing Hall of Fame last fall. And it wasn't something that I needed to be doing, because I felt that everything I did for kids because I love them. So, but I lost a boxer a little more than a year ago. He unfortunately committed suicide, and they contacted me and told me they wanted to put him in after his death. And I said, okay, if he's going in, now's the time for me to go. So I inducted him. I gave the introduction speech, and we went in together.
It's a heck of a story, but it's a great honor. Congratulations, anyway. I'm a little bit late, but
but 6 months ago. So.
Okay, yeah, but I like to be prompt, you know. And let me ask you about training your son. There's been I mentioned to Shawn about how a lot of those relationships don't work, between father and son in boxing, and people like to point that out all the time. They say, "Oh no, it's not a good thing." but some of them work, and yours has been highly successful. But what is it? What is it that makes it so successful?
You know, there's a lot of pros and cons and good and bad, and there's mostly everyone you come in contact with saying that you can't do it and won't be successful. This is just from my personal views. As close as you possibly can be, as close as you want to be to a boxer, that he's got confidence in you, that he believes in you, that he trusts you, as close as you could possibly be is like a father to a son. And so every boxer that I ever trained, and I've had, you know, probably 25 national champions, everybody that I've ever come in contact with, even on national teams, maybe they weren't my direct boxer, but all of these guys that I came in contact with, when they see me, we have a relationship of understanding when they see me. And so as close as you could possibly be is you want to get as close to them so that they believe in you when you walk into that ring, that, you know, nothing can beat you and nothing can beat them. Well, that only can really happen if you are a father and a son. So we're striving for a close relationship with the boxer. It just so happens I have a great relationship with the boxer, and he's also my son. So, you know, as much as these different people, commentators or whoever it might be that says it can't work, if you've ever been in this position, that's how close you want to be to that kid. You want him to have that belief in you. And if he walks away, if you see different coaches and trainers and their boxers separate after so many years, if they had a really close relationship, they just lost a son. They didn't just lose a boxer. They feel like they lost a son. So, you know, you can't actually duplicate this. So I have it. So when the boxing is over, he'll still be my son. But as long as he's boxing, we're doing what we're doing together, and it's working, so there's no reason to change it.
No, I wouldn't think so. You've been in a lot of big fights, you and Shawn. Well, this one coming up is big. How do you look at it?
I want to be front row, so you know, I look at it as, you know, as you see boxers comment and trainers comment on their fights, and this is the biggest fight of a career. Yes, this is the biggest fight of our career, but that's how boxing is. Each step you take, you want to take a higher step on the next one. So yes, this is the biggest boxing match of Shawn's career and biggest boxing match of my career, but he's prepared for this moment with over 25 years of preparation. He had his first boxing match at 8 years old. He had his first sparring session at 4 years old. So he's got enough preparation. He's ready for this night.
Yeah. Well, I know that it's going to be a dynamite fight. Like I was telling Shawn, at this weight class, this fight is huge. I mean, this is the two best fighters that can go at it, and I think it should be hyped even more, because I can't, you know, I was so depressed when the fight was canceled the first time. But you have him ready. He's going to be peaked, because I mentioned this to Shawn. He was ready to go, and then they, you know, because of injury to Keith, you had to let it go, and now you have to work your way right back to that peak again.
Yeah, we have to do that again. But what we did, you know, we continued with the training, and we finished it off with a 12-round exhibition. We got a lot of things out of him that night. Actually, the night before, we had a weigh-in, so it was 150 pounds. Wasn't necessary to go to 147 because there was no title on the line, but he did everything that we needed him to do, mentally, physically, nutritionally, you know, emotionally. Everything that we asked him to do, he did. So as we move forward now, he's had a break. He's had some time. He's had some rest. He's had a little vacation. He's back to work, and his batteries are recharged, renewed, and he's ready to go. And then since we've got, you know, a good 9-10 weeks, we're going to take our time and then just build it up to that crescendo. And then we'll have that peak week, and then we'll go in here and take this title from Keith.
Well, I want to wish you all the best. I know that if anybody's going to be ready, it's going to be Shawn, and I know you're ready too.
Absolutely, he'll be ready. Absolutely, he'll be ready. And you know, we wish Keith well. We want him to be healthy, and let's get this. You know, let's get this. June 25th can't come fast enough.
All right. right. Well, Kenny, I appreciate it. It's nice talking with you. Good.
Always good to talk to a fellow Ohioan.
That's right, and that's why you're going to win this fight, because you're from the Buckeye State.
Buckeye State. Thank you.
All right, we appreciate it, and let's send it back to our next segment. We appreciate it from our man Kenny right here. Woo! We're in this altitude chamber, man. This is like being up 6,000 feet, man. I'm getting tired. It takes the wind out of you. But anyway, I want to thank Kenny Porter and his son Shawn, of course, the two-time champion. He's great. Want to wish him the best in his fight with Keith Thurman. This is a great facility here, the Porter High Performance Center in Las Vegas. If you're ever in town, stay the hell out of this place. But anyway, we'll be back with the Combat Realm next time. In the meantime, keep your hands up, your chin down, shoot the jab. Don't make me look for you. Peace. Woo!